You are authentic. You are the person you are supposed to be. And it has nothing to do what other people expect you to be. As long as you are being free within yourself, that is 100% accepted.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hi, it's Lara Jane, your host. Sometimes my energy level isn't quite the same as other days. And today it's in a contemplation mode. So a little bit lower energy than maybe not as engaging, but I think it's a really important subject. So I wanted to record it and share it with you anyway. But I was just really thinking back a conversation that I had with my sister and problems that they were having with a child and feeling like they weren't true or that the child was lying. And it hits me with two different kind of thoughts. Number one, why do we lie? And number two, why would we ever call someone a liar? So number one, let's think about lying. Why do we lie? I know the times that I've told a not truth or hid the truth is because I was afraid I wasn't going to be accepted for who I was. Back in, I think it was junior high, they had this truth or dare. And we had to answer the truth or not play at all. I guess it wasn't even truth or dare. It was just truth or truth. And someone asked me if I had ever smoked. Now, I was the Molly Mormon, the super religious child of the area. Something that 90% of the people would have never even considered asking me, but I was still wanting to be cool and not somebody who always followed the rules. So on this truth or truth thing, I lied and I said, yes, I've tried smoking. Who was I trying to accept me? Who was I trying to hide the truth from? There were people in my neighborhood in that class. There were people that I had no clue about. What was my motive? 60 years later, I still couldn't tell you why I chose that answer. But I'm sure it was to be liked. And I'm sure it was something that I really struggled with because I still remember it today. But if we don't feel liked, and I don't even know if like's the right word, but if we don't feel accepted, have you ever just not feel accepted for who you are? And you just feel like you have to hide your true self so that you're not judged? I didn't really struggle. I put a lot of effort into making sure that when my kids were growing up, they were heard and that I accepted their truth. And sometimes when I would hear a story and it would conflict with somebody else's story about the same situation, I never said, you're lying. I would say, help me understand why we have two separate stories going on. And so that we can connect the dots and we can make sure that we're sending out the right messages. And I think through that, my kids got very comfortable mostly telling me the truth. They still didn't want to let you down. They still didn't want to disappoint. So sometimes they would hide the truth. But I remember one of my children was experimenting with locks. They were maybe 12. So early enough in their childhood that they didn't really understand keys and locks and everything they do other than they unlock doors. So one of my children had tried to unlock a storage unit door that didn't belong to us with one of our keys and busted it off. The coolest part is they came and told me. And I didn't yell at them. I didn't tell them they were stupid. I said, how can we fix this? Well, a little later when my husband got home, he hit the little bit more angry mode. And I just said, you know what? It's more important to me that my children tell me the truth and that we have a way of correcting it instead of hiding it and never saying anything. And so we really tried hard, and there I go, using that word try again. But really, it was a focus in our marriage and in our raising children to allow honesty without causing issues or putting people down. Did it help them? I don't know. I've never asked the kids I've never thought about it since. But when I was hearing the story from my sister about her child and how she was lying about things that they had, things that they did, that her friends were hearing stories that couldn't even possibly be true. And all I could think about is that child is trying so hard to blend in. That child is trying so hard to fit in and to be part of a group where she doesn't feel that way. And where did we go wrong? Not we. Where did, in her upbringing, did it get to the point where she didn't feel like she could be herself? And that's where I want us to start walking back. If you feel like someone's hiding the truth from you, we need to ask ourselves, why do they feel like they need to? What is it about me that makes them want to be somebody other than they are? It's not about them. That person's trying to fit in. If someone's lying to me, it's because they want me to know a different story or have a different idea of who they are, instead of just accepting them wholly and full-heartedly for them, regardless. It doesn't matter if what you've done or what you haven't done. You are important just the way you are. You are you. You have your mission. You have your path in this life. Your path is different than mine. It doesn't matter if there wasn't doctors. If we all wanted to be doctors, there wouldn't be any policemen or politicians or people to run the stores. In fact, it was really funny. My granddaughter and I were talking about this morning, and I take her to school a few days a week. And she was talking about, I was just very impressed with her honesty and wondering what it would sound like if all the adults in the world had that same level of honesty. But we hide our thoughts and our feelings because we're afraid that they won't be accepted. And she was telling me a story about one of the kids in her class. And don't get this wrong. She is an amazing child. She would never do the things that she just said, but she can articulate it in a way that you realize she's fully authentic and who she is. She said, "Oh, I would just like to throw rocks at that person until they stopped acting that way." And in my heart, you have that gritch of, oh my God, she wants to throw rocks. No, she's really trying to stop the pain and the frustration that's coming in to her. And that was a way of her expressing that frustration, trying to stop it from coming in. Now, why we lie? That's not a socially acceptable thing to say. If you said, I just want to slap my boss, that's not socially acceptable. But we could say, I just had to walk out. But we learn to frame our words and our actions to be appropriate. And then we lose our authenticity. So even though today's not Challenge Day, I'd really like you to dig down and really think about, what is it that I'm hiding from the world? What is it that I don't want people to see because I wouldn't be accepted? And then try to figure out a way that you can let those pieces of you shine, because you are authentic. You are the person you are supposed to be, and it has nothing to do what other people expect you to be. Now, yes, our freedoms end at the end of our reach. We don't impact somebody else's freedom. But as long as you are being free within yourself, that is 100% accepted. And that is how genuine we like. I love genuine people, even if I don't agree with everything. I know where I stand with them. I know what's going on. And genuine is just a breath of fresh air. To hear someone say, I would just like to slap them, instead of stuffing that feeling down. When we stuff the feelings, they build. When we express them, we let them go and they're no longer in us. It's like the pressure cooker. Now, it's the best way to cook dinner. Don't get me wrong. I love these 10, 15 minutes and done. But when we stuff and we hold things back, we build up pressure inside of us. And you start hearing about self-care, of how to let that steam off, but being authentic and genuine and expressing ourselves at the time the emotions are high. not yelling and screaming, but to let them out. That's self-care. That's preventing any pressure buildup at all. So please be honest with yourself more than anybody else and understand, why is it that I am trying to hide my light from others? What is it that I'm afraid is not going to be accepted? What is it? And when you know that, start letting little pieces out. Maybe it's just small at first, but as you start to learn to express yourself and you start to understand that other people love you just the same, it's going to be easier and easier every day. So when someone's lying, try to dig down and figure out, how are they trying to fit in? What is the purpose behind it? They just don't feel loved. They don't feel accepted. And until we love them and accept them, we're going to get the lies. Someone's lying to you, it's because you're not letting them be them. Start showing them the path. Start not being mad at them if they break a key off in a lock. We can get something. Hell, if we have to call a locksmith, we call a locksmith. They change the locks. Who cares? We had him work a few days. Well, I don't know how many days it was. It's a long time ago. But we had him work off the cost of the locksmith to get the locks changed and fixed. I think that sounds fair for the inquisitive mind that our children are going to have, because they also need to know that there's some consequences after their actions. Because as adults, we don't have a parent there covering up and hiding us from the things. We have to accept it. So why not let it start as children? So I've probably been all over the place with this podcast, but the 2 points I wanted to get across is being honest with ourselves and being honest with others, and making sure we don't label somebody a liar, that we label them as somebody trying to be liked, someone who's not really confident in themselves to be able to be honest. And if that somebody happens to be you sometimes, it's me sometimes. Absolutely. I definitely hide when I don't feel accepted. So it's just the way we've been raised. It's just the way we feel like we fit in. So be bold. Be yourself. Learn to be authentic. One step at a time. Let that sunshine that you have in your heart shine through and radiate to everybody. And maybe that sounds corny, but that's the way I feel like it is when someone's being genuine and honestly, it's like this amazing fresh air. Thank you for listening. Lara Jane signing out, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.